everyone and happy Sunday. If you're new here, my name is Sarah, and on this channel in 2025 I am aiming to share every single day in my cottage garden and kitchen garden. I will be sharing the highs of the year, the lows and all the things that go wrong and everything in between. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, I would love for you to subscribe so you can follow along with the journey in 2025. The weather has started to get quite a lot colder here again, and I've got another lovely Sunday with my family, so I'm going to give myself between 15 minutes and 30 minutes to go back over to the pond area that I was working on last week and see if I can dig out some of those really stubborn thorny roots. Let me know in the comments what kind of jobs you're getting up to in January. Are you doing lots of weeding and preparing, or are you busy sowing things already? I'm hoping to start sowing some of my seeds by the end of this week, so stay tuned for the rest of the episode to see what I sow. Okay, so today I'm down in this area tackling some of these stubborn brambles. Let's go all the way around. Goodness me, it goes down a long way. If I wanted blackberries here, this would be great, but I don't. I don't know if you can see these ones down here that are actually underneath the slab, so I need to pick the slab up and try and dig those out from underneath as well. The roots just go so far down. Trying to remove them is really, really difficult. There you go. So some of these will definitely be back because it's so hard to trace the root far enough down, but it will slow them down, I hope. I would have to really turn this area over to a good 2 or 3 spade depths to get rid of them fully, and I'm not really willing to do that, so I'm just going to do my best. What would you do? How would you get rid of them? Whoa, my goodness. Okay, so that's me done for the day. I'm just going to tidy up what I've got left here and then head inside. Hi guys and happy Monday. Today you find me back in my garage. It's another busy working Monday for our family. So today's job for January is to check on my dahlia tubers, which are stored in some sawdust in a box behind me, and just check that they're looking okay and that none of them are looking squishy or degrading at all. So we'll have a look at those now and check that they're storing well. Okay, so after a game of garage Tetris, where I've just been moving all the things that are on the shelf to get to these, I have now managed to find them. This one that's sticking out is slightly squishy. Yep, that looks fine. That feels fine. Most of them feel fine, which is great. Where are you? You are. How are you doing? Yep, mostly they're all feeling great. Another smaller pot here. Really, really nice, those ones. So these are all looking great, and fingers crossed they'll all continue to store well for the next month or two. But before you know it, I'll be getting these back out again, popping them in some pots and getting them started for a new growing season. So that's really exciting. And another job we can all be doing in January, keeping an eye on those stored tubers. Now to play Garage Tetris again to get these back on the shelves. Hello everyone and happy Tuesday. I'm really excited today because I'm starting my seed sowing. So I've got a pocket full of seeds, some bits and bobs to get me started, and I'm going to see what I can sow in the 15 minutes that I've got this lunchtime. I've got a couple of new little propagator trays here, just 2 of those which are quite a large size, and then some that I've had for ages which are a bit grubby. So I'm going to brush them down and then use these as well. Okay, so in my pocket to sow this week, I've got some peppers, some leeks, some spring onions, some sweet peas, aubergine, more sweet peas, more aubergine, 1 variety of tomatoes, hello Robin, a year-round cauliflower, and some chilies. Priorities, let's see. Oh, leeks are quite a high priority. So I'm going to get leeks into one of these. So of the 2 varieties of aubergine I've got here, these ones say sow from January and these say sow from March. Last year I sowed them in February and they did okay. Still didn't get any aubergines, but the plants did well and grew well. So I'll go with these ones this month and I'll probably sow these ones next month. Aubergines, aubergines. 2 centimeters apart in seed trays. A good tip to stop the seeds moving about is to water the seed tray before you put the seeds in. That way then you can just give a really light water or a spray over the top once the seeds are in place. Is this the year that I finally get an aubergine? I've had aubergine plants, aubergine flowers, but no aubergines. I've tried hand pollinating, but still no aubergines. Are long purple aubergines from Kitchen Garden magazine going to be the ones that are successful for me? Stay tuned, follow along to find out, and if you've got any tips at all on growing aubergines, then please do let me know in the comments, because I wonder if I'm just missing a crucial step. Let's go for it. Tiny little orange seeds, so about 2 centimeters apart. So I'm going to do 4 rows of 5 in here. If they all happen to germinate, obviously I don't need 20 aubergine plants, but we're going to be having a little plant sale on our street in April, so I will try and grow as many plants that I sow on and then sell those off to friends and neighbours if I end up with too many. How shall I tuck you in case you do germinate? There. I've got the seed sowing compost from B&Q here in the UK, and just, you know, very, very cheap and not such good quality as standard compost, but it's all you need just to get seeds going. So I'm really going to just gently cover these over, not too much. Don't want to move them too much either. Tiny little sieve would be good for this, wouldn't it? Does anyone else use a little sieve to cover their seeds? Any recommendations? So I'm now going to label these, cover them, and then these are going to be inside until they have germinated and started to grow. In you go. Okay. 1. What next? What's next priority? Probably leeks. Next. Another question for you. Does anyone have any really good seed sowing gloves, or do you, like me, just use your hands? I haven't found any gloves for sowing seeds that I can actually still pick up the seeds and put them in where I want them. So I just give up on gloves for this kind of job and use bare hands. But if you can recommend any seed sowing gloves, then that will probably be better, because my hands do get a bit battered at this time of year with all the frequent washing and scrubbing. Again, I'm going to water this just to stop it moving around. And then these are both the same variety, Musselburgh. One from Kitchen Garden magazine, one from Mr. Fothergill's. These say sow by 2025. These say sow by 2027. I'm tempted to just put half and half in here and see how they do. So I might label them as the Mr. Fothergill's and the Kitchen Garden and see which do better. Obviously, these are technically older, so they might not do as well, but it'll be interesting to see. Let's see how they do. Good luck, guys. Just covering them over loosely. Another light water. Mr. Fothergill is wearing a blue shirt, so he's having a blue label. Kitchen Garden is going to have a red label because their logo is red. Mr. F, 21st of the 1st. Have I used up my 15 minutes today? Yes, I have. In planting just 2 sets of seeds, but that's fine. So I'm going to leave the rest of these things out here in the same place, and then I'm going to come back and do some more tomorrow. So I'll take all of these things inside now and put them into my utility room, which is the warmest place in our house, to start off. Then once the seedlings start to appear, I'm going to move them to my seed shells, which are going to stand just by my patio windows in the direct sun. So hopefully they'll get lots of sunshine and do well before I can move them back out here into the greenhouse. Hello everyone and happy Wednesday. I'm back in the greenhouse as I was hoping to be today to carry on sowing some seeds. I've got lots of toilet roll tubes here because I'm going to sow my sweet peas directly into these. I've got these ones which I sowed last year, which are the old fashioned mix. And they were lovely, and these were Johnson's. And then I've also got these other Johnson's ones, which are the giant waved mix, and they are really quite large, and they did really well last year. So I'm going to sow both of these. They both say sow by 2025, so I'm going to need to remember to save some seeds from these ones if I want to plant the same variety again next year. So first I've got a little container here, and I'm going to put all of my tubes into the container like this, but using these is really good because it means that when you plant the sweet peas out, you don't have to disturb the roots and you've got something to plant directly into the ground. This also works with regular peas as well. Okay, yeah, 20 are wedged in there. So I'm going to fill these up with some of the seed and cutting compost, and then I'm going to start with the giant wave mix, see how many seeds I've got, and then if I have some spaces I will look to sow the other ones as well. Okay, so they're filled, and now I'm going to sow the sweet peas. Let's see. Actually, before I put these in, I am going to just water this compost because it will move a bit. A little bit more compost in a couple of them. So I can't see a dibber to hand, so I'm going to use this spoon. And I'm going to make a hole about 1.5 centimetres deep. 18, 19, 20. And then I'm going to keep these old-fashioned mixed ones as well, ready for a second sowing, probably next month. So now I'm going to cover those over just to top them off with some compost, and then take them inside and put them with my other seeds, and hopefully they'll germinate. 12 to 21 days, so it could be a fair while, but we'll keep an eye on them. I will make sure the compost doesn't dry out, but I'm not going to over love on these until I start to see them appearing because I don't want them to rot in the soil. Another job for January done. The first sowing of sweet peas done. That has used up my 15 minutes today, but another really successful and useful use of my 15 minutes at lunchtime. And I've got a few more things to sow this week and a few more jobs I want to get done around the garden, so I'll take you with me and show you what I'm doing for the rest of the week. But for now, happy Wednesday, and I'll see you tomorrow. Oh dear, it looks like somebody forgot to turn on her microphone. So I'm going to do my very best to remember what I was trying to tell you here. I started by saying happy Thursday and explaining how the weather had turned fairly stormy in advance of Storm Eowyn's arrival, which was due the next day. And I explained how I was going to plant these daffodil bulbs into these terracotta pots. I picked up the bulbs a few weeks prior at the garden centre. I also explained how I've got a large collection of bulbs down by our shed and that they have stayed there year on year, so I'm hoping that these ones will last in the same way and I will be able to reuse them again every single year. I then explained how I was going to plant my red bell peppers. This is another job that is good to do at this time of year to get a good head start on these plants that take that little bit longer. As in the previous days, I filled a large seed tray with some soil and then sowed the seeds into the soil. There were 12 seeds in the pack and I evenly spaced these throughout the seed tray. Again, I covered them over with soil, watered and labelled them, and that was another job done for January. By the time I returned to the house, I had realised my error with the microphone. Oh, never mind. See you again tomorrow. Hi guys, happy Friday. I hope you've all had a good week. You find me back in my garage because I've got a bench down here. Let me just show you. Very exciting. A bench that I need to paint. Whilst this might not be an exciting garden job for the week, it is a true reflection of a gardener's year. It's not all about planting seeds and tending to beautiful flowers. We still have to do all of the garden maintenance jobs that need doing, even if they're not very glamorous. So I'm going to spend some time on this Friday evening getting this bench back to its best. It's had a second sand, so now I'm using some of this Johnston's exterior wood and metal quick dry paint in satin finish in the colour Natural Sage. Let me know in the comments how your week's been. I know some people that I follow who are having a harder time at the moment, so sending loads of love to those people that are struggling. Even for those without a particular issue at the moment, January can seem like a really bleak and trying time. So I hope everyone's getting through it and looking forward to brighter days ahead. Speaking of brighter days ahead, I have seen properly the first snowdrops and also crocuses out in the garden today at the end of January. It's the 24th of January today, so that is really exciting. What signs of spring are in your garden at the moment? Have you got snowdrops out yet? Have you got any crocuses out? The crocuses in particular seem quite early. I've only seen 2 just coming up through the lawn, so they're not newly planted bulbs. They are crocuses that have been there for a very long time and come back year on year. Would also love to know if anyone visits any snowdrop gardens or spring bulb collections around the country or anywhere in the world, really, because it's always useful for us all to learn from each other in the comments. Is there anywhere that you would recommend for snowdrop bulbs? I'm hoping to go to Anglesey Abbey, where I went to see the dahlias in October, to see their snowdrop collection in a few weeks' time. And for the last 2 or 3 years now, we've been to Dean Park, which is, I think it counts as Northamptonshire, but Dean Park, Deane. They have a lovely collection of snowdrops as well, which we've been to for the last few years, and we'll be going to again, hopefully, towards the end of February, if there are still any in flower, because they do seem to be coming out now, so it depends how long they last, I suppose. Many jobs in the garden are not instant gratification. We plant a bulb and then we wait months and months to see them appear, which is a great lesson in patience. As with seeds as well, it can be several weeks before we see any signs of life. Jobs like this are absolutely brilliant because we can see the result of our hard work in just a few minutes. We are very lucky to have this indoor space to do jobs like this. Obviously, things like fences can't be painted until things warm up a bit and the wood dries out. But it's really nice to be able to get ahead on smaller jobs like this at this time of year. So in real time, it's Friday the 24th, but you'll be seeing this on Sunday the 26th. So we'll only have 1 week, full week left of January before we're into February. I can't believe it. We've nearly made it, guys. And if I can get to the end of next week, that will mean I have shared a whole month in my garden. The lovely Linda at the Feel Good Garden pointed out that obviously I wasn't in the garden on Thursday last week. I don't know what day that was. Was it the 15th, maybe? 15th or 16th? Because we were out at a museum. But this is a gardener's year, so as much as I possibly can, I am sharing every single day in the garden. If I'm not in the garden, I'm still sharing every single day. So if I'm on holiday, we often visit gardens, so I will share those with you. And I might share a little quote from a book. I'm often reading gardening magazines and gardening books if I'm away on holiday or not at home. So I will make sure that I share every single day of a gardener's year. But it is a true reflection of this gardener's year, which will mean that I'm not here every single day because particularly at the end of terms, I'm really busy on the road travelling with my work and things like that. So then it's quick snippets in the garden in the evening if it's in the summertime when I can get home in daylight, or it might just be reading a gardening book on my lunch break. And I guess the amount of time we get to spend in our gardens and allotments and growing spaces will vary year on year depending on how your year is going and what your plans are, as well as what stage of life you're in. But I would love to know in the comments, how much time do you think you spend each day, each week in your gardens? I imagine that for many of us, it increases a lot when the weather warms up and we get more light as the jobs start to come in thick and fast. But are you like me? Do you try and spend 15 minutes a day where you can? Or are you someone that spends concentrated amounts of times on weekends in your growing spaces? Or a mixture? So this weekend is the RSPB's Big Garden Birdwatch, and me and my family have taken part in that for the last, I think this might be our 4th year, but it's definitely at least our 3rd year of taking part, and we really enjoy it. It's just 1 hour over the Big Garden Birdwatch weekend where we can relax, grab our favourite warm drink. So for my little boys, it's often a hot chocolate and a tasty snack. And then we just sit down in the garden and count the birds that we see. Does anyone else take part in the Big Garden Birdwatch? You don't have to take part in your gardens. You can choose to go and sit down on your allotments, a local park. Yes, you can take part in a local park, in your allotments, on a balcony. So the name is a bit deceiving. I wonder if they could call it the big British bird watch might mean that they can include more people without people being confused or put off by the name. The big British bird watch. Birds we've seen in the garden this January so far are blackbirds, sparrows, wrens, robins, wood pigeons, collared doves, magpies, blue tits, dunnocks, red kites flying over, crows. One that I haven't yet to identify. I was trying to work out whether it was a wagtail like we see up at the airfield near us, or a long-tailed tit. So we'll need to check that one out. Make sure we've got our bird books at the ready tomorrow, just in case that one makes an appearance when we're doing our bird watch. Getting there. This bench was in the garden when we moved in 10 years ago, unpainted, but very, very dishevelled and in need of a facelift. But it was the first summer evening we sat in our garden with a glass of something cold together and just couldn't believe how wonderful it was. It was what sold the house for me, at least, was the garden. And I just sat in the garden looking over it all in maybe May time. We moved in April, so it was probably the end of April or May that we sat out of an evening and on this bench and really took in the garden. I've got a picture of it somewhere. I don't know if I'll be able to find it anywhere though, but yes, it was a lovely moment. So it's lovely to keep this bench going, if at all possible, for as long as possible. Do you have any heirloom pieces or heirloom structures, or maybe a trowel or a broom like Trigger's broom from Only Fools and Horses, that you just keep going because you've had it for such a long time and it has become an heirloom piece of the garden? Those who've been following me for a really long time will have remembered me saying last spring, this bench needs a paint, and it never happened. So it's great to finally get this job done. And it will now be in my Gardener's Year video series, and it will be in my Gardener's Year diary that I'm keeping each evening. So hopefully it will be a job that I won't forget in the years to come. Thank you to everyone who's following me and keeping me accountable with my jobs, because it would have been very easy. It's very cold out here this evening. I've got the heater going behind me, but it would have been really easy just to stay inside. We've had a very busy, lovely day with our children, with their friends, doing their book work and all sorts of things that we've been up to today, out at classes. So it would have been very easy to collapse on the sofa and not do a job like this. But I know I'm going to sleep well tonight and be really thankful that I have done this. This is when I feel really fortunate that we home educate as well, because a lot of people on a Friday evening are just desperate to spend time with their children who they've not seen all week because they've been busy at school. But we are very lucky that we obviously spend a lot of time together. So taking the time out over the weekend to do little jobs like this doesn't feel so tricky, because I know I'm going to get lots of time with my family in the week ahead. Does anyone think that painting benches can be a right pain, because you can see it from one angle and you think, oh yes, I think I've covered everything, and then I'll turn it round and realise that all the other sides of these little slats here won't have been painted. I've been painting the ones I can see going that way, but I can't see the ones on the reverse side, so I'll have to do that when I turn it over. I was going to say, let me know what your plans are for the weekend, but by the time you see this, it will be Sunday. So let me know in the comments what you've been up to this weekend. What have you been doing in your gardens and allotments? Are you still having a little bit of a break while things are quieter and still in the planning stages? Or are you busy getting things sown or tidied up? Has anyone been watching Monty Don's British Gardens? I've only seen the first episode so far, but I really enjoyed it. I love visiting gardens. And if you look back through some of my older videos, you'll see some of the gardens that I've visited over the last year and a bit since I've been sharing videos on YouTube. But in this Gardener's Year, you will see some other gardens that I visit, because that is very much part of this Gardener's Year, visiting other gardens for inspiration and just to enjoy the wonderful atmosphere and creative ideas that other gardeners have come up with. Last year for Mother's Day, my husband and little boys got me a year's membership to Barnsdale Gardens in Rutland, and that is a really wonderful place to visit. I can't recommend it highly enough. Now run by Nick Hamilton, son of Jeff Hamilton, who was well known as the presenter for Gardener's World back in the 80s. Barnsdale Gardens consists of 38 different gardens. They've got a full-size allotment, a woodland garden, a rose garden, a cottage garden, a water garden, a winter garden, a spring garden. So many beautiful ideas. This is looking very good. So pleased with it. Thank you for keeping me company, guys, with my first coat of paint on this. It is looking like a new bench. It's beautiful. And with another coat, it will be absolutely brilliant. Another brilliant and productive January day. You join us on this sunny but cold Saturday morning as we prepare for the RSPB's Big Garden Birdwatch. Favourite snacks and drinks on hand, and bird books at the ready. Our pens are poised over our check sheets as we wait to see who appears this year. First, as always, are those pesky wood pigeons, but we don't mind really. Everyone's welcome here, along with Stephen, our resident squirrel. Then a blackbird joins the party. And Stephen enjoys those mealworms. Is this a dunnock or a female sparrow? It seems to have a grey head, so we decided it was probably a dunnock. Then the blue tits came, and the great tits. At one time we saw 4 blue tits in one go and 2 great tits, so we counted 2 great tits and 4 blue tits for our birdwatch, and I noted it all down in my notebook. Finally we were joined by a jackdaw, who was keeping a very watchful and wary eye on me, but eventually he plucked up the courage to make his way down to the bird table and enjoy those mealworms too. In total we saw 1 collared dove, 5 pigeons in one go, a jackdaw, 4 blue tits, 2 great tits, blackbird and a dunnock. A very successful birdwatch for 2025.